Welcome back to Gem and Cozy, everyone. I recently asked you guys for questions so that I can provide you answers. So today we're going to be doing a Q&A. I decided to combine I combined a bunch of different footage of me doing small business things for my stationery shop Gem and Cozy while answering different questions. So let's get started. Let's start off with a little bit of context. My name is Dana, and I am the owner of Gem and Cozy, which is an online sticker and stationery shop that I have been running full-time for 3 years now. I draw all of my designs and produce them onto different stationery products and ship them all from my home studio. I got a lot of questions about advice for starting a small business and things that I learned while running my business last year, so let's start there. Yes, this is me quality checking notepads on the floor. I had a really long quality checking session, so I figured I could talk to you guys while I do this. So let's start off with a question that I get asked the most. Do I have any advice for small businesses that are starting out? I always tell people that whatever you are trying to do or sell needs to be something that you really enjoy. There needs to be an authentic and natural connection that you have to whatever you're wanting to do, because when that passion isn't there and things get really busy and tough, I feel like the foundation of your business is no longer there. I have always loved paper products and stickers as a kid. I grew up moving around a lot, so one of the main ways I stayed connected with family and friends were through letters. Even when I'm packing orders, I like to connect with my customers and I'll write them little notes. It's something that has always made me feel really good, and I know what it feels like to receive some kind of gift or letter in the mail. It could really make someone's day. So, being able to do that through my products, even if it's like an order that they made, makes me feel really good. There is so much to talk about when it comes to small business stuff, so I'm really going to condense my thoughts on advice. One of the biggest lessons that I learned over the past year while running Gem and Cozy is to start outsourcing and asking for help in the areas that you are being really slowed down in as soon as possible. You really have to grow with your business. So if packing orders is taking a really long time and you no longer have time to create or work on marketing, then that is a bottleneck and that is an issue. So I started asking my sister for packing support, where she comes over every week and packs with me for about 4 hours. I pay her for her time, and that way I just have more time throughout the week to work on editing videos and thinking about other ideas, working on admin stuff. There's always so much to do, so when packing is under control, I feel so much better. Other ways that I have outsourced to make my work life more efficient is I outsourced my sticker production. I used to make everything from home, and that was taking a really long time, and it's really tough when your printer or your Cricut cutting machine decides to act up and then everything gets slowed down. So I started outsourcing everything over the past 2 years. And I also got a CPA and learned how to really just communicate with them so that they're getting their part done to support me and my efficiency, productivity, all of the above. Something that I really learned over the past year is how lonely running a small business can be because I work by myself. So, for the most part, I'm in my little home office just making videos, essentially talking to myself, editing footage of that, packing orders, making art. It is really nice from an introvert perspective, but I get no external stimuli, so I have made a bigger effort to try to connect with my community and hang out with more friends when I can. And trying out new fun little hobbies like diamond painting, things that are creative but not related to my work, so that I can still have arts and craft time without feeling like it's work. Another great question that I got is, what is your favorite thing about creating a new product? And I think one of the biggest joys of making something is not knowing where it's going. So I love making spontaneous art, and my favorite time to do that is when I get to paint. I feel like when I make my like ghosty floral kind of animal paintings that you guys have seen me make in the past, those are usually my most kind of flexible, open-ended projects, because a lot of the time I'm just painting things to paint. And I'm not really thinking about how something looks or what should go on it. So it all kind of just comes together spontaneously. And that is one of the best feelings when I get to do open-ended art. So creating to create is definitely something that I need to do more often, especially when you turn art into your job. And the other part of creating that I really enjoy when it is more intentional and for my business is definitely seeing the final product and seeing all the elements and time that you put into it come together. So when I saw my hydrate and dihydrate sticker, I was like, oh my gosh, you can see all the little kind of watercolory effects on it. I did this with an alcohol marker, and I'm very new to coloring with alcohol markers. So I had such a good time with it, and it reminded me that I could do new things and that it's worth experimenting and kind of growing your skill sets in other areas. So I feel like making things always reminds you of how much you're capable of. Even when it's not your best work, it still reminds you like, wow, you did something new and exciting, and you could choose to do that again if you'd like, or do something else. And I love that reminder. I guess there are a few really exciting moments to creating, because another one I can think of is when the general blueprint kind of comes together in my head. It's like a light bulb turning on, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I know exactly what I want this to look like. I want this bow design with these little ghosties on a blue gingham background, and I want it to look something like this, where it's kind of like a chaotic, busy pattern. And then all of a sudden I'm like going, because I know my mission and I know what I want to make. And that's a really exciting part of creating, because all of a sudden like your flow kicks in and you're like, ooh, I know what I want to make. So I really enjoy that. And this bookmark is actually the reason why I wanted to answer this particular question right now. I think that it's really fun to create something and then get to use the same elements and then create something brand new with it. So originally this is a sticker sheet, and I was super excited to make my very first more like planner journaling oriented sticker sheet with small stickers. This is what the sticker sheet that I'm talking about looks like. And then I had this idea to turn it into a bookmark, which has never happened when I've made a sticker sheet. Typically, I use a die cut sticker design, and then I'll be like, ooh, I think this would be great as a bookmark. And then I eventually make it into one. But I've never really made one like this, where it's like I made a sticker sheet first and then turned it into a bookmark. So I feel like making art and then turning it into new pieces of art like this on different products is really full of surprises. And that is one of my favorite parts of running a stationery shop. I love when people comment and they're like, ooh, I would love this on a keychain, or I would love this as an art print, because it gives me ideas, and it kind of, I don't know, it's like I feel like we're kind of in this cool like brainstorming space together, and we're bouncing ideas back and forth. I always try to keep everyone's ideas in mind whenever I'm creating, and I have so many things to be inspired by. So this is a really neat experience of collaborating with your own pieces to create something new, and they feel like completely different products, even though it's, you know, the same pattern. You guys know how much I love making a matchy moment and making little collections like this. So I had so much fun making that bookmark. Ooh, another thing I really enjoy about the creating process is when I realize that I have just kind of come out of a flow. So when I take a break while I'm in the thick of drawing or creating, and then I realize, wow, it's been like 3 hours and I'm still creating, that is such an amazing feeling. It's such a neat experience to just be taken away and swept away by whatever you're making, and I just feel really connected to my hobbies and my crafts and my art whenever I get into that kind of flow. I keep thinking of new answers for this question, but from a business perspective, it's also really, really cool to see everyone's response to a new product. I really never know what people are going to like. So sometimes I'm interested in something and then I release it thinking, oh, I think people are going to like this. And then it's just like kind of a miss or just okay. Then I'll release something that I didn't really think twice about and then people love it. So it's always really fascinating from a business standpoint to see what people like as a product and as a design. And obviously, I don't want everything to be external gratification, but at the end of the day, it is really cool to see people enjoying my art and enjoying my products. So that is definitely a highlight of making art. I also got this really interesting question about why I choose to not show my face in my videos. And there are so many answers to this, but I feel like thinking about the answers really made me deep dive into thinking about so many things, like how I perceive myself and my body, and if I truly care about privacy or if it's more of like a self-esteem thing. This opened a whole can of worms. So when I first started Gem & Cozy, I was working full-time as a pediatric occupational therapist. So I always had this perception that being a healthcare professional should come with some sense of online professionality. I know that that's very different nowadays, and there are so many healthcare professionals who also have TikTok accounts and, just show themselves doing silly trends and things like that. But I was making a lot of snarky content, which is still the case since a lot of my stickers have swear words in it. So I felt like having a separate and more private art account made more sense for the type of content that I was making. But then eventually I quit my job and turned my art into a full-time career. And then I never really transitioned to showing my face. The main reason I didn't want to show my face is that it's just more privacy. And then I also think from a visual and editing standpoint, you have to put a lot more time and effort if you are taking stills and shots of your body in motion as well as your face. Most of my short form content is focused on my products like this, and I usually show my packing station or my sticker shelves. I feel this is the most efficient and effective way to share my products with you guys. I honestly don't really like looking at footage of myself and having to edit it also, so I feel like that would actually be a really big hang up for me if I had to edit a lot of clips of me talking and doing things. So I guess long story short, I'm not really comfortable being in front of the camera. But I'm not opposed to it. I feel like if in the future I want to experiment with different editing styles or I have a different mission in mind where I feel like facing the camera would be better for it, then I would explore those options. I remember in the first year of my art journey, I was kind of afraid that being a faceless account was going to impact my growth negatively. But I found out very quickly that there are a lot of faceless creators and artists out there. So if you're listening to this and you're worried that you have to show your face in order to grow on social media, you don't. So while I pack Carrie's order, I'm going to answer the question, what are my favorite 5 stickers right now? This question is always so hard for me because I feel like my favorites are constantly changing. I think a lot of the times my favorites depend on my mood. So let me think about it while I grab some keychains. They got the You're Killing It. Where's the Live Laugh Love Kitty? Right here. Oh man, Carrie got a lot of sticky notes. Oh, I think I have a few favorites that always stand out to me that have been long time favorites. And that's probably because I drew them at the very beginning of my art and stationery journey, so they kind of stand out to me as like nostalgic stickers that have been with me for a long time. The Booberry is one of my favorites. It was a really silly design that I drew to that sound that's like boppin' booberry, and I think it was like a little kid's voice. So I thought, oh, that would be so cute if I made a berry that is a ghost, because every time I hear the word boo, I think of some kind of ghost themed pun, which is how the blueberry was born. So that one is definitely one of my favorites, and it has a bear version as well as a kitty version. I think the kitty version is more popular than the bear, but people requested the bear and it never really took off, so I should probably reshare that sticker sometime soon. Lately, whenever I look at my stickers, I really love the My Give-A-Ducks Are on Vacation. This design really cracks me up, and it's a pun on the Sabrina Carpenter song, and then I wanted to put the little rainbow floaty with a unicorn and of course a little iconic duck, and I feel like that's a pretty like original art concept for that quote and how I paired it together. So I was really proud of that when I made it, and I know that nothing really stays original for too long, but when I looked it up, no one had drawn anything like that or used that pun in that way, so I feel like it's very gem and cozy. The Derpy Wood Dragon is also one of my favorites. This was really challenging to draw because I had never drawn a dragon, and I wanted to add all these like wood features to it, like the leaves and the wood detail, but I couldn't figure out how to do his hair. And my boyfriend was like, the leaves look like axolotl ears, and I kind of just went back and forth. At first I had horns in the front and decided, no, I want them to kind of look like antler horns in the back. It was definitely one of those pieces that came together in a really satisfying way because I had to work really hard on getting that design to kind of flow and come together. And I think that that's also one of the reasons why I love it so much. It was definitely a difficult and challenging piece of work that I was like, wow, I'm really proud of how it turned out. I had no idea where this was going. I wasn't even sure if I was going to finish it. So I'm really proud of that one. And every time I see his little tongue hanging out, it makes me happy. Ooh, Carrie got all of my duck sticky notes. I love it. I released The Piece Was Never an Option as a sticky note, and I thought people were gonna like it, but honestly, it hasn't really been as popular as I expected. Also, I hope the printer wasn't ridiculously loud because it was just running as it printed 50 order sheets. I also really love my whale, 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 if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. I just like how this whole thing turned out. I thought this was one of the punniest quotes that I've made, and I just have these weird moments where I'm just like, wait, what if I change these words because it sounds like this word? And every time I hear people talking or whenever I'm listening to lyrics, I start to replace certain words and I see images kind of come out of it, and that's how a lot of my designs come together. So whenever someone goes, well, 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 I started to hear whale, 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 and I would joke around and say it that way. And then eventually I heard the rest of a quote that someone paired this together with the whole, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. And then immediately I was like, that's gotta be a sticker. So that's one of my favorites. It's really funny and witty, and it's kind of that combination of everything that I really like in Gem and Cozy. So that's one of my all-time favorites. I feel like The Horrors Persist, but So Do I will always be on the list as well. This was one of my very first glitter stickers, and I had no idea how it was going to turn out. I tried to work with the sticker manufacturer to get the glitter on the neck and on the little parts of the feathers, because whenever you look at pigeons, their neck feathers are really, really like sparkly and pretty. So I thought that would be really cool to pair with the clouds, and then it just came together in a way that I never expected. I felt like I was completely shocked when I saw this sticker. I have an unboxing video of this, and I was like so giddy that it turned out this way because I didn't know what it was gonna look like. So his little derpy face also makes me really happy, and it kind of keeps things silly. It's like The Horrors Persist, but So Do I is not just like an encouraging thing, but it's also like, hey, I'm gonna choose to remain silly and myself and happy and connected with my inner child. It reminds me of a lot of that, so that always makes me really happy. Carrie placed a really sweet order, and they left me a note saying that she missed our birthday month. So they are ordering this. So I think that both of us have April birthdays, which is really sweet. And they also said that they've been enjoying seeing me inspire others with my journaling and finding new ideas to provide us with dopamine. So that was so sweet. I've been sharing more of my like new hobbies and adventures on my social media. So I think that's what they're talking about. And Carrie also likes to call me Dopamine Queen. So she said, I hope May treats you well, Queenie, which is so cute. Thank you so much, Carrie. Carrie is also part of Stationery Club. I think that this set is one of my favorites of the year so far, especially because of the color, and I got to play around with my alcohol markers. So if you guys are interested in May rewards, this is the bundle, and you can get this whole set on Patreon for $18, and that will include shipping. Or you can purchase them separately at Gem & Cozy as well. The price will just be higher since the Stationery Club is like a discounted bundle. Thanks so much for your ongoing support, Carrie. Enjoy. This is going to have to be the last question that I answer for this Q&A. One of you guys asked me if I was going to make more possum themed art, and recently I saw this adorable big possum in my backyard just hanging out and smelling things. It was like the size of a cat. I've never seen one this big before, and it was so slow, so I wonder if it's a senior possum. The answer is hopefully yes.